Welcome back to Against the Cage. I'm Scott Fontana here once again with the UFC light heavyweight champion, Alex Pereira. Alex, I gotta ask you first. I saw a video that you shared on social media recently of you training wrestling in the snow with Glover Teixeira. You know, being from Brazil, I imagine you didn't experience snow until you were an adult. So I'm curious, what did you remember about kind of that very first time that you saw snow in person? Have you like made a snowman or had a snowball fight? What have you done in the snow?
Pô, parecendo criança, né? Pô,
Yeah, it was basically, I felt like a kid when I saw the snow for the first time. And, it was a lot like when I saw the ocean and the beach for the first time. I was probably 15 or 16 years old. And we went to the beach and I kept screaming, look at the wave, look at the wave. And, I was already a big guy and people were looking at me like, what the heck is wrong with this guy? What's that guy doing? And, I think it was about the same thing when I saw the snow.
That's fun. That's fun. Now, obviously, that video it attracted a little attention from your UFC 313 opponent, Magomed Ankalaev, who posted in the reply, "I hope you ready to do this for 25 minutes." You've won both of your MMA fights that went past the third round, so distance-wise in the fight, we've seen that before. Those were striking heavy fights. What's a reaction to what Ankalaev said in this case?
não, com certeza vai ser uma grande experiência.
Yeah, I'm really excited about this fight. I think this is going to be a great experience, and I can make his words my own as well. Let's see if he can stand 25 minutes doing that. If he can't grapple me for 25 minutes, then he's going to have to stand up, and then we all know how that's going to go. But obviously, I didn't focus a lot on grappling before I moved to the U.S., but I've been in the U.S. now for about 4 years, training with Glover, and really focused on that and really dedicated on that. So, I think this is a fight that's going to bring that out in me and make me show everyone what I've been doing with my grappling.
Now you touched on the other point of that. Obviously, there's been a lot of focus on the fact that you are a striker who, is coming more into grappling than into striking as you experience this. And this is the biggest challenge as far as grappler goes that you've come across in the UFC. But there is that other side, like you mentioned, he's got to hang with you and you're striking for 25 minutes. How do you imagine he's going to fare with somebody who's patient like you, but is also extremely dangerous at any moment?
Cara, eu acho que, assim, ele é um cara experiente.
Yeah, I mean, he's a very experienced guy. He's a high level striker too. I just feel like I'm on another level. I've been training a lot of different things, a lot of new things. So I think this fight's really going to be really interesting. It's going to be a war, and I hope he's ready too.
Now, you took a detour mid-camp last month to corner Sean Strickland, your former opponent who has, become your occasional training partner. Why was it so important for you to be able to step away from the United States where you were training and go all the way across to Australia to be there for him?
Não, como eu tinha até falado antes, né? Eu tinha.
I had work. I had prior commitments in Australia that I booked before I even knew there was a UFC going to be down there in Australia that week. But once we realized that he was fighting, and he asked me, and I thought it would be cool since I was already going to be in Australia anyway.
Okay, right on. But obviously, while you're there, it doesn't go Sean's way. Dricus du Plessis defends his belt. He had some words. You guys had kind of some words in some ways for each other after the fight, but it was particular. He calls you out, hoping to fight you. There's this conversation you had, I guess, with Daniel Cormier, where you told him Dricus is just too small. Do you imagine that there's any way you and Dricus could be matched up together, maybe at 205 pounds someday, or is that completely off your radar?
Não, com certeza, 93, né? Pô, essa.
Yeah, it would definitely be at 205. I've said it before. I don't want to cut down to 185 anymore. It's just too complicated for the weight cut. But even behind the scenes, I asked him if that was a call out to me, and he said yes. And I said 205, and he was kind of unsure, but he said sure. So we'll see.
Okay, okay. Now going back to your own division, of course, 205 and the guys in it, the expectation was that Ankalaev was going to be your next challenger late last year for your championship. Obviously, that fight ended up going to Khalil Rountree instead. And you wore him down over the course of like three plus rounds before you really poured it on and got that finish. Is that like how close to your plan did that fight go?
É, bom, ali foi.
Yeah, that was the plan. We knew that he was a good striker. He's strong. but we also saw that he tends to, start to tire out in the fight a little bit. So that was the plan to use the first 3 rounds and then really pour it on at the end of the third and the fourth round. And that's exactly what happened. Some people even said that I lost the first two. I don't see it that way. He landed that one punch, but I still think that I outlanded him throughout the fight. But it's exactly what you saw. At the end of the third, I started really dominating him and then poured it on in the fourth.
And the last question I had for you, Alex, is the fact that, a win over Ankalaev here, you would have cleared out the top four contenders in your division, five of the top seven. At what point do you start feeling like you've done what you needed at this weight class and move on to something else, maybe heavyweight, like you kind of teased before, and a lot of people have really been hoping to see from you?
Na minha categoria eu não sei quem seria o próximo.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who would be next in my division. So we could definitely start looking at that, maybe moving up to heavyweight or who knows, maybe even going and doing a boxing match.
Would you have to change your body at all to move up to heavyweight?
Ah, muito pouco, muito pouco. Eu tava pesando.
Yeah, I'd have to change very little. A couple of weeks ago, I was weighing about 235, and that's really heavy for me. I'm usually around 229, 230. But I think that would be a good weight for me to move up. So, I think it's natural. The body, you get heavier and you get bigger as you age. So, that's what I see that's been happening. So, but I wouldn't have to change much.